Cadets, take your seats. Thank you. And you, Jenkins? This briefing is not about anything true, I'm afraid. It's about when we get caught out every now and again. Even the SPD doesn't get everything right. So, yes, we're not dealing with dragons or werewolves or spectral cavalry. It's about a bird. Not just any bird, a bird that became a monster, yes. The year was 1976. Heat wave, barely hot. Britain's fields with tinder and the temper's not much cooler. And in the little Cornish village of Morning, a pair of frightened girls looked up at a church tower and saw something that would change the map of English folklore for 2 years. The first report came from two sisters, June and Vicky Melling, on holiday with their father. They wandered near the church and saw a creature hovering above the tower, wings spread, feathers black, eyes red as embers. They fled. Sensible. Their father, to his credit, didn't dismiss them. He just packed up the family and left Cornwall the very next day. A few months later, two other girls, Sally Chapman and Barbara Perry, camping nearby, saw the same thing. A great owlman, they said, as tall as a man, with pincer-like claws and eyes that glowed through the dusk. Stories spread like wildfire, bound to. Letters appeared, newspaper articles, pamphlets circulated, and standing quietly at the centre of it all was our very good friend, Tony Doc Shields. Doc Shields was an artist, magician and self-styled monster raiser. His hobby, or his art, depending on your sense of humour, was to conjure local legends into life. In 1976 alone, he reported not one, but 3 monsters across Britain. Morgar, the sea serpent of Falmouth Bay, the hairy owlman of Mornan, and something unspeakable in Loch Ness that wasn't Nessie that I'm not going to speak about. He called his approach surrealist magic. Others called it publicity hunting. It was Shields who published the drawings, and it was Shields to whom every witness conveniently reported their sightings. Historians later noticed that every supposed witness was either Shields himself, his friends, or people who only ever wrote letters to him. A neat trick, isn't it? Conjure a monster, record the evidence yourself, and declare the case confirmed. Still, as a man who's seen things I'd rather not have seen, I hesitate to laugh. Hoaxes have their place in the great theatre of belief. Sometimes we need our monsters. They tell us what we're afraid of and who we wish we were. Cornwall, well, it breeds stories the way its cliffs breed barnacles. Every cove and headland has a haunting. Mermaid, piskies, knockers, the beast of Bodmin Moor. And here, high above the sea, you have the owlman. Owls in Celtic myth are rarely friendly things. They are watchers in the dark, messengers of death. In Welsh legend, Bloweddydd, the woman made of flowers, was turned into an owl for her betrayal, forever cursed to haunt the night. So when two frightened girls said they'd seen a great owlman watching from a church tower, the land itself was ready to believe them. The story, well, it fit too well, and the church, St. Marnan and St. Stephen's, sits on a ley line intersection, if you believe that sort of thing. Old ground, sacred before Christianity came. They built churches on pagan sites to stamp out the old spirits, but the old spirits have a habit of peeking through the plaster. Now let's remove the feathers from the myth and look at the bones. What could those girls really have seen? The most likely culprit, the barn owl. Barn owls have luminous, heart-shaped faces. They reflect torchlight like burning eyes. They screech rather than hoot. And where do they roost? In old towers, churches, bells lofts. A startled owl taking flight in dusk looks like, well, it looks bigger than it is. Add panic, imagination, and a touch of Cornish magic, and you have your owlman. Other theories point to the Eurasian eagle owl, an enormous bird with a 6-foot wingspan reintroduced to Britain around that time. One such owl could easily frighten a camper or two. Author Joel Nichol, a sceptic but a fair one, pointed out that the church towers are ideal nesting places. Reverend Lionel Fanthorpe, himself a lover of the uncanny, agreed that an eagle owl was a sound explanation. The simplest answer, cadets, is usually the right one, but simplicity is rarely satisfying. I confess something, cadets. I want the owlman to be real. There's part of me that still peers into the church lofts at dusk, hoping for a shape that doesn't quite make sense. Because every time a myth dies, the world grows a little smaller. I've hunted dragons that turn out to be storms. I've chased werewolves that were really only men. And now the owlman, nothing more than an owl. Yet something about those reports still chills me. The girls weren't lying. They saw something they couldn't explain, and sometimes that's enough. Whether hoax or hysteria, the Owlman serves a purpose. It reminds us that even in our age of satellites and smartphones, the shadows aren't empty. They are full of things we bring with us: fear, wonder and curiosity. Those are the true monsters, and they'll never go extinct. So, cadets, if you ever find yourself in Cornwall near Marnon and you hear wings in the dark, don't reach for your rifle. Just look up. Offer a salute to the guardian of the tower, a poor barn owl burdened with legend. The Owlman may never have been real, but he will never quite die either. And in the end, perhaps that's enough. Thanks for listening. You see, we don't always get it right. Comments and volunteers in the comments below. Comments?